Hey guys, what's going on? I'm David Avalon here with Robert Drysdale, and we're now on the 9th episode of the Breaking the Guard podcast. What's going on, Robert?
Lots of work, my friend. It's a Sunday. We're filming on a Sunday. It doesn't really stop. I got phone call, text messages, emails. I like it. I get bored quickly, so my weekends I normally work as well.
Nice. Well, I was telling you this before. I actually had somebody chat me through WhatsApp asking me about diet and health routines, and since I've been on this kick for a while now, I feel like I want to share a little bit with what I've been doing.
Yeah.
And we'll just jump around all over the place from there. So starting with diet, because most people are saying, how do I get in better shape? Like a lot of us do the martial arts because we're trying to make ourselves healthy.
Yeah.
Right? Like there's very few people out there who are just trying to become pro fighters. You know what I mean? Most people are trying to have a good time, learn some self-defense, get fit. Yeah. But there's a misunderstanding that some people think that it's just exercising is what's going to make you lose weight. And I know a lot of guys who are overweight that are very physically fit, but they're still overweight, right? So, the old saying, like, abs are made in the kitchen is true, because, like, in one hard workout, like if you're working out for like 90 minutes straight, you might be able to burn 1,000 calories. And that's a intense workout. Yeah. One cheeseburger, one Big Mac, and you're over that already. You know what I mean?
6 Oreo cookies later.
Exactly. And you've already hit 1,000. So the main thing for me is, again, calories are very important. Essentially calories is a unit of measure for energy. I believe it's like 1 calorie is essentially what it takes to raise the temperature of water by 1 degree or whatnot. So knowing your baseline calorie level, and everybody's different depending on your weight, your size, your age, male, female. I'll take myself for example. So I'm 195 pounds right now, 38 years old. My base rate is 2,500 calories per day, right? So essentially, if I want to keep the same size I'm at right now...
I'm smiling because I have no idea where I have no idea. Sorry, keep going.
No worries. All right, yeah. I might be able to show you something once, right? So it takes 2,500 calories for me to sustain my size, right? Even if I'm not doing anything, just being alive. That's what it takes. Now, if I want to lose weight, I have to burn below that, create a deficit.
Correct.
If I want to gain weight, I eat over that amount.
Yes.
That's a base. It doesn't always work out that way, but basic understanding.
That's the crux of it. You gotta work out more than you eat, or eat less than you work out.
Exactly.
Yeah. So if you don't like to work out, that means you gotta eat a little. If you love to eat, then you gotta work out a lot.
Yes.
Long story short.
Pretty much. Yeah. And there's other factors like metabolism.
Or you can find a magical pill online of some sort. Some magical diet that's gonna make you super lean and fit. You don't have to try hard. You can eat, cheesecake all day and not work out and still look amazing.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's some website out there promising that.
But even people who do plastic surgery and whatnot, there's still a problem with that, right? Because there's a lot of people that do the plastic surgery and then they gain the weight back, right? Because
set point.
Yeah. Because the main thing is that your diet is essentially a habit or a lifestyle, right? And if I just magically take away something, it's like if I gave someone a black belt who didn't deserve it. All because you got the black belt doesn't mean you have the skill now. Right? So you'll get exposed easily when you get the same thing with your diet. If you just do some plastic surgery or take magic pills, you're still gonna fall back to what you're normally doing.
Yeah. Well, it's the set point is something that a lot of people don't understand how the body works, right? Your body doesn't understand its priority throughout our evolutionary history has never been to look good. It's not a priority. Our priority is not to be super physically fit either. Your top priority has been to survive.
Yes.
Get by. So fat, from an evolutionary perspective, makes perfect sense. Your body wants to hold on to fat, especially if you're constantly feeding it fat. Your body understands, well, I want to hold on to all this fat because clearly this guy is going to go on some really long journey and he's going to need the energy storages. So if he just keeps pushing all this sugar on me, it must be because it's going to need it down the road, right? So your body understands that's why we hold on to so much fat, even though in these days you don't want it, right? But that was a tool that saved us back in the day.
Yeah.
We got by because of this fat tool, right? Why? Because we accumulate fat. The thing is, if you get your body used to a certain body, let's say you weigh, 250 pounds, right? And then you are at that weight for half of your adult life. All of a sudden, you wake up one day, you look yourself in the mirror and you go, I am overweight, I need to lose weight. Okay, very well. So that's perfect. You took 15 years to gain that weight and you want to lose it in 15 days.
Yeah.
Right? And that's the biggest problem. That's why people don't understand diets and how the body works. Your body, okay, it's fine with losing the weight, but it's going to take some time to adjust. So what happens, these people get like with an enormous amount of will, they get on the treadmill, and start training jiu-jitsu, whatever they do. They get on this crazy diet where their calories are limited, their calorie intake gets cut by half, and they do lose a lot of weight. You're starving your body now because it's used to 5, 6, 7,000 calories a day, and now it's down to whatever your intake is, right? And through that enormous effort, mental effort, because it's very, very difficult mentally, what happens is after a month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, you lose all that weight. But here's the problem. The second you stop that diet, your body does not understand why it's 200 pounds now. It thinks that the normal and the healthy for you is what? 250, because that's your set point. So you bounce back up just like that. As soon as you're off that very rigorous diet, you're going to go back to where you came from. Because the body it will lose weight, but it's not something that can be done too quickly. So when you lose weight too quickly, your body doesn't adjust in time. You have to, like I normally tell people, aim for a pound a week.
Yeah. Yep.
It's actually easier on you. You're not killing yourself, right? And like, I want to look good tomorrow. I want to look good for this summer. Like, well, you should have had this thought 15 summers ago.
Exactly.
Man. It's kind of like in jiu-jitsu. People want the quick solution to get put in a rear naked choke, and they go, "What do I do now, coach?" I'm like, you should have been doing something before he passed your guard or took you down, right? It's not so different, right? So I think that is something that people misunderstand as far as diets. The quick, miraculous solution is not only extremely hard, it is unhealthy, and at the end of the day, it doesn't work.
Yeah, because exactly what you said, it's all habits, right? Like, and if, first of all, like what you said, I always tell people as well, where if it took you 2 years to put on a lot of weight, expect 2 years to take it all off in a healthy fashion, right? And like you said, some people are trying to drop like 20, 30 pounds like in a month. It's like, man, that's going to be harmful for you. Yeah. You're probably going to feel like crap the whole time, and then you're going to crash.
And extremely difficult. And it's actually, it's burning your will too, because now you're like, all these diets don't work, and then you end up giving up because your will gets burnt.
Yeah.
Right? You see with fighters all the time. I've seen fighters cut 50 pounds. I've seen a guy cut from 255 to 205 in like just over a month. And I couldn't believe my eyes, but I've seen him do it. And guess what happens like 2 weeks later? He's back to 255, of course. You think he's going to stay at 2? There's no way. Leaving aside the water cut, even the natural weight cut is just not something your body fully comprehends. So the body does not understand your aesthetic leanings, right? It doesn't care about abs. It cares about survival. And it does take time to adjust to that new set point. So if you want to stay at a lower weight, my advice to you is to get your body, create a new set point. And don't let that happen too quickly. You want to take, like you said, if it takes you 2 years to gain that weight, maybe if you push hard and maybe in 1 year you can create a new set point. But even that's, you're being optimistic here because your body needs time to adjust.
For sure. And it's another thing that you brought up, which is that the body is smart. And over the years, the goal was to be energy efficient, right? So your body never wants to burn more calories than it has to. Yeah. That's why it's so hard to put on size, right? Like bodybuilders and stuff, it's
not natural.
It's not natural.
Your body does not want all that muscle.
Yeah, because it'd rather have a very low footprint. Yeah. When you have like tons of muscle, it takes up a lot of energy. Yeah. And your body's like, why do we need to have all this muscle? Because it's taking so much more resources to fuel. So like they have to eat so much, and the main thing, they have to, work out like an animal. And because the body has to see, like,
their timing. It's not just the steroids. It's not just the crazy workouts, or just it's the combination. Their timing to counting calories when they eat. I know an old coach of mine. He was a strongman. He would literally wake up in the middle of the night, I think like twice, to drink a protein shake. Yeah, he'd set his alarm. Like imagine having to wake up 2 and 5 in the morning every morning.
Yeah, it's like every 4 hours.
Yeah, it's like, but like that's how serious these guys are about putting muscle to create something that, once again, is unnatural. It is they're doing it for personal reasons or whatever. But you have to find, these guys have to find ways of tricking the body to do something it really doesn't want to do. Correct. Because you're right, it understands survival. It understands saving energy, right? And another important thing a lot of people miss out is that your body is not just burning calories by working out. You're thinking you're burning calories. Your digestive system is working. It's killing itself to digest that steak you ate last night. One thing I always tell people when they're on these diets, you have to understand, and all calories are created equal. Yeah. Right. So 1,000 calories of steak does not equal 1,000 calories of Oreo cookies. Correct. Because you're thinking, clearly it's 1,000 calories. Well, An Oreo cookie is so broken down already into simple sugars that your body just absorbs every ounce of it right away. There's no effort for your body to digest an Oreo cookie. Whereas in a steak is an enormous effort for your body to digest that meat. So by the time you're digesting those 1,000 calories of steak, your surplus, it might be something like 200. Whereas with the Oreo cookie, those 1,000 calories that you ate, the surplus is more like 900.
Right.
So you're keeping a lot more of those calories at the end. That's why steak does not make you fat in the same way donuts do.
For sure.
Right? So we have to look for complex carbs when it comes to our calorie intake because they're not the same.
Yeah, that's when the macros come into play, right? So, or the macronutrients, in other words, right? You have your carbohydrates, your proteins, and your fats, right? Yeah. So just like you said, like if I saw my bench, like I said, my set point was 2,500 calories. If I just eat 2,500 calories of donuts, it's not the same as eating a balanced profile that had steak and rice or whatever.
Diabetes aside, your body's going to hold on to like that sugar much, much easier because it's no effort.
Yeah, and it's going to wreck you. So after doing research and looking around, what I have found, at least for me, and again, this is another thing, that everybody's very different, right? Like, I think a lot of what your diet is also based on your ethnic background and what you were raised eating.
Your genetics.
Yeah, your genetics play a huge factor, right? Like, if Eskimos, they're eating like blubber and lots of fats and proteins, very little carbohydrates. They're essentially been doing keto before it was cool, right? And they handle it very well. But if we went on that same diet, we would probably have a hard time, processing all that heavy fat and whatnot, right?
100%.
So like it's kind of, that's why when someone says, "Oh, I have a diet that works for everybody," it's like, I'm very skeptical already.
And only that too, like we're living a day of I've said this before, but like the health industry is a fairly new industry.
Yeah.
My grandfather was the kind of guy that he's like Clint Eastwood in that Gran Torino movie. Like that was my grandpa in Brazil, like hardcore, like you eat if there's like a grain of rice on your plate, like you get mad at you have to finish it, right? But his generation was like a tougher generation. The concept of health was very, very different. Health meant you're not sick.
Yeah.
If you're unhealthy, it means you're like you're dying of something, right? That's unhealthy. If you're not dying, then clearly you're healthy. But this day, like the word health has changed so much. Now we're expecting so much more. We should, we should make it, make ourselves healthier. But it created a whole health industry, and a lot of it, to me, is there's a lot of bogus.
Yeah.
A lot of people promising the next revolutionary diet, and they're just trying to sell. Like every time someone rebrands some old jiu-jitsu move or like does something, like it's I understand it's a business, right? There's nothing wrong with that. But at the same time, it's not. It's like, man, like there's nothing special about it in that sense, right? But like a lot of like diets, they have the fundamentals when it comes to diets, and the fundamentals are, broccoli is healthy, McDonald's is garbage. Like those are people know that, but it's so easy. Like if only I get on this keto diet or that diet, and I think you're right that for you to maximize your health, you have to find the right diet for you.
Yes.
Right? I do believe that. But I do believe at the same time that a lot of people kid themselves by believing that if they only get on this diet, this time they will lose weight. It's kind of like the person who buys a treadmill, puts it in their garage, thinking that by buying the treadmill, they're going to get skinny. And all you had to do is stop eating McDonald's. So I think people like to kid themselves a lot when it comes to being realistic about cutting weight.
For sure. Like the diet, for example, I have adopted is more of a low carb type diet, right? Yeah. And the split that I do is essentially 40% of my calories come from protein, 40% from fat.
And you calculate those?
Yes. And 20% from carbohydrates, right? So I use an app called MyFitnessPal. You can get it on your Android or your iPhone. Pretty much available everywhere, even on the computer. And it's free. It's really easy to use. You could just literally search for anything that you're eating, and it'll pop up, and it'll have the macro breakdown. You could set your set points. Like you could say every day I want to eat, this percentage of this, that, and it'll calculate it all for you. So it makes it very easy to be accountable. I know when I was wrestling, I would do the same thing, but there was no iPhones. Yeah. So I'd have a journal, and every day I'd make a little grid and write everything down. It was a pain in the ass because you had to look at nutrition labels and write it down. Yeah. Where now the app, it just does it automatically. So it makes
amazing.
It makes it a lot easier. But that's the breakdown that I do. Like again, 20% carbs, 40% fat, 40% protein. And I've been doing this just about 9 months, and like steady loss and weight training and all that, and it has worked out really well for me. I think a lot of problems that people eat, like the old food pyramid is completely jacked up.
Yeah.
Right? If you see the way it is, it's like this, where carbs are the base of it.
Yeah.
And it's like eating bread, cereals, and it's like 50% of what you're eating.
We've never eaten so much. Because you got to remember what was life like for most of our history, right? That's what your body has shaped itself to survive on. It's like, what was life like? And like even, so for example, we did not have the amount of sugar. There's a reason why like sugar is so tasty. It's something so precious because your body wants that, because that's quick energy. And that's what you're looking to get by, right? Like any kind of calorie surplus back in the day was like fundamental for your survival.
Yeah.
So, that's why bacon smells so good. Why does bacon smell so good? Because your body's trained itself to like, okay, that's a goodie right there. I need that sort of fat, right? It's like broccoli doesn't smell nearly as amazing as bacon does. It's like one of them is like important, but one of them is really important for your survival. Fat versus like greens, they're not. But in this day and age, finding the balance, the pyramid you're describing, is fundamental, because if you're looking at peak performance, right, survival no longer is a priority. Now it is peak performance or aesthetics or just overall being healthier, living longer, whatever the case is. And we do have these tools. So I've always been an advocate of the importance of keeping track of what you eat. But I also don't think it's one of those things where it's not a deciding factor in any way, shape, or form. It is something that does have an impact, but I don't think you're going to necessarily live 10 years longer because you're eating super healthy. I think that a lot of these things are predetermined, and they have to do with other factors that were not in our control. And the reason why I'm saying this, like some people believe that if they shop at Whole Foods, they're going to live to 150. I'm like, the only reason you're not living to 150 is because, you don't shop at Whole Foods enough. I'm like, I've seen people eat burgers and drink soda and smoke their whole lives and make it to 70, 80, fine.
I've seen, they had, I guess, a centenarians, and they were interviewing all these people who lived past 100. And one of the guys, he was his old, he's like, I think a World War I vet, or not, I'm not sure if he's still around, but he was eating the same breakfast every day, which was like 2 slices of bacon, then the bread cooked on the bacon fat, and then he would eat all that. He was smoking cigars and drinking whiskey every day. And the guy, and mind you, very lucid at 100 plus, right? So I don't think that it's not diet alone. So I think diet does play a big factor because like if you get diabetes, you're definitely gonna have a shorter lifespan. But like shopping at Whole Foods is not going to make you.
It's because
live longer.
The health industry wants to sell so much. It's $1 billion industry. Like they will try to convince you of things that aren't true, and I think we shouldn't lie to ourselves either. Like I don't know if you've ever met Admar Barboza.
No, I haven't.
Okay, good friend of mine. If you know Admar, you know this. The guy refuses to eat anything but fast food. Like I remember one time, like there's an omelet, like made him omelet. He said at my place, made him omelet. It's like, Rob, I don't want to eat the omelet. I'm like, well, why, man? You don't like is it okay if I go to 7-Eleven? I'm like, yeah, sure, man. So I eat his omelet for him. Drive him to 7-Eleven. He buys a Coke and a corn dog. And that's his breakfast. The guy's got abs. He's shredded, drinks. He doesn't drink water. He only drinks Coke. He refuses to drink a protein shake. Like, oh, that's gross. Like, he'll drink Coca-Cola 24/7. He's been doing it his whole life. And the guy's got abs. Got more abs than I do, more abs than you. Like, dude, it's insane. So my point is, he would probably very likely be a better athlete, be healthier if he didn't eat like that. But I think that there's the habit, his body's adapted to it.
Yeah.
And B, there's a genetic component there that allows him to continue eating McDonald's every day. Loves Wendy's, and still have abs, and I'm not saying you should eat like that, but I think there's more going on to your health than just, what's advertised.
For sure. And that's why I say, like, well, when I tell you what I'm doing, I'm telling you what works for me, right? Yeah. Like, I think what we were talking about before, diet is part of a process of trial and error, really. Like, if you're already super healthy right now, then you probably don't have to listen to this, right? Yeah. But, like, if you're struggling, then, like, well, here's something that may work for you. You're going to have to try it out and see it. I do think that, like, coming back to that food pyramid, it's definitely completely jacked up. I would be pretty confident that most people will not do well if they follow that strictly. Yeah. Eating so many carbs and so little protein and fat. I mean, they used to demonize fat before, right? Because like if you look,
now we know
fat
fat's
is
the
at the
best.
top of the pyramid, that you use sparingly. Whereas now we're like, well, you actually need fat because it helps a lot of body functions. It helps lubricate your joints and all that. Like, so if you don't have enough fats in your system, it's a problem.
And fats are actually really, especially the healthy fats. I'm not talking about the fat you find in avocado and nuts, for example. So I have one of my first business partner here, one of my best friends, Sean Rigo. He was like always kind of like little on the chubbier side. And one day he went like, he went on what I call the bird diet. And I kind of took that from him, and I started using the bird diet all the time. The bird diet was basically he would just eat seeds and nuts, and I think he was eating protein shake here and there, but like there's zero carbs in his diet. Like it's very difficult, and I've done that for my fights because you pretty much cut out carbs almost completely. Every now and then I'll eat a potato, some rice, but very little of it. And you start craving. So every time you see, like you smell pizza or you see commercial pizza on television, you really crave that because your body just wants that sugar, right? It wants those nasty fats that you're missing because you're only eating clean fats now. But I have never seen a guy lose so much weight so quickly, like when he was on the bird diet. Because you're only providing your body with the healthy fats, and healthy fats do not get you fat. Now, why is that? Because a healthy fat, much like a steak, right? It's an enormous effort for your body to digest that. So it delivers that energy in bits and pieces. So when you're on the nut diet, basically, you actually feel amazing because you have steady energy throughout the day. I would literally cut weight like this, and I never struggled. I mean, after a week, you want to eat normal food, but like physically, I felt better than I did when I was on like eating pasta every day. Because your body's being supplied with a steady amount of energy throughout the day versus doing that spikes. The spikes that you get from carbs like pasta. And I started using this more and more for my weight cuts, and I highly recommend it. You basically replace carbs almost entirely, as much as you can handle, with seeds and nuts, pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds, walnuts, Brazil nuts, cashews. Just mix it up with some raisins. I always recommend competitors take this to the tournament as well. You need like a handful immediately after the weigh-in and in between matches. Just because you're not hungry doesn't mean you're not starving. Correct. You don't feel hungry because your body's in fight mode, but you're actually starving because you've been cutting weight for 48 hours and you're competing. Trust me, your body needs some energy. And I feel that nuts and raisins especially, they give you just the right amount of energy. Didn't bloat me, I didn't feel sick, and the energy was steady. It's almost one of those things where, like, you get the spikes with coffee too. Yeah. I feel like when I was on that diet, I almost didn't need coffee. I feel like I felt energized throughout the day. I didn't feel as crashed, right? So I highly recommend something like that for competitors, though it's very difficult because, like I said, after a week, you want more stuff. I'm not saying you should live only off nuts, but it's a fast way of cutting weight because the fats are so complex for your body to digest. You do not absorb it all at once as you would with an Oreo cookie.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. What I was talking with the diet that I'm doing, for example, it's very easy to do. Yeah. It's not hard at all because it's not keto where you're eating like 25 grams of carbs a day, which is like 2 slices of bread and you're done for the day. So like. It's very hard to do that, especially when you're used to eating so many carbs normally. But when you're doing 20% or even like 25%, you can have bread and pasta, just not 5 servings of it. Probably have like 1-2 servings a day and then you're shut down. So you still have enough where you don't have any cravings, but you're still getting enough of the good stuff, enough proteins and enough fats. So I find that it was very easy to do. Like I said, doing it in 9 months, I never felt like I had to struggle. Yeah. Right. I wasn't like, oh God, I missed something. No, I'm eating everything I want to eat, and with no problems.
And going off of what you said, and it kind of brings me back to my set point thing. You want to make sure that you're giving your body time to adjust, right? But you're basically following 2 rules when you do this. So the 2 rules I had. If you want to gain too much weight or you are trying to cut weight, right? It's all about quantity and timing. Those are the 2 rules I was always very adamant about because quantity obviously matters. Yes. 1 donut versus a box, like a dozen. Like they're not the same thing. And the other thing is the timing. A donut right after a bowl of pasta before you go to bed, horrible idea. A donut after you're done training, working out is a great idea. Actually, a lot of people, bodybuilders know this, but this is really functional for athletes in general. What sugar does, it spikes your insulin, right? What a lot of people don't know is that insulin works as a super shuttle for protein. So by spiking your insulin, you're actually helping your body carry protein faster to the muscles in order to recover. So like it's not unusual that a bodybuilder would take a shot of insulin right after he's done working out and then, drink his protein shake right after. That's actually way to put on muscle faster because there's a window when you're done working out. Your body immediately you're doing damage to your body basically, right? You're really squeezing the whole time. You're exploding, taking the guy down. You are damaging your body. In order for your body to reconstruct itself, make itself bigger and stronger for next time, it has to what? Build itself with protein. Insulin helps. So if you do have a sweet tooth and you absolutely need to eat that Reese's peanut butter candy bar, Butterfinger donuts, whatever it is that you crave, the best time to do this is right after you train and follow that up with your recovery drink or your protein shake.
Yeah.
But once again, the quantity and the timing are what's so important. Don't, eat a dozen donuts. You don't need that much insulin in your bloodstream. But the sugar does serve a purpose, and the sugar is important if you time it right.
Yeah, actually, I follow that principle quite a bit. Yeah. And again, all sugars are not equal as well. Like there are some sugars that are very fast digesting. Yeah. Have you guys ever heard of like glycemic index? That's what it's referring to. Like some sugars take more time for your body to process it. Yeah. So like for after workouts, you do like you said, you want that insulin spike because not only do you want the insulin to provide a transport to the protein, but you also want to refill your glycogen stores.
Correct.
Because when you're doing the workout, you're using all your glycogen. So some people say the faster you can refill those stores, the better you're going to recover. Yeah. So the best source from what I've read of having that fast digesting sugar would be glucose. Yeah. Or another form is called dextrose. Yeah. So a lot of like sweets, like gummy bears, like pixie sticks, they're essentially all dextrose or glucose. Yeah. So you see
raisins. That's why I'm obsessed with raisins. Like fructose in this case, but they're similar. They're not too far off. They're simple sugars.
Yeah. So like with like you'll see some people they'll carry like I actually do it. I have gummy bears with me. So after I finish my workout, it's like just like 6 gummy bears and my protein shake, which has dextrose in powdered form. So it's like 30 grams overall of dextrose right after a workout with like 40 grams of protein.
By the way, guys, this is real science. Okay, me and Dave are not making excuses to eat donuts or gummy bears right after a workout. This is legit science. Look it up.
Right, you can look it up for sure. But like I said, he said timing is critical. Yeah. Like if you're doing this, like eating gummy bears or donuts or anything like that in another time, it's not going to be as useful. It's not, that's like the only time that I'm aware of, or at least that you do want that insulin spike is post-workout.
Post-workout, yes.
Yeah, you don't want it in other times of the day generally.
And I tell people this, like, because people are struggling, they really crave whatever, you know, and then like, dude, they think you're lying to them. Am I not supposed to eat something healthy after a workout? And here's the truth of the matter. A lot of nutritionists won't tell you this, but they know this, but they know their science. Your body's going to turn anything into glycogen after a workout. You can eat kale, carrots. It doesn't matter what you eat after you work out. If your glycogen storages are depleted, the first thing your body's going to do is going to turn that into sugar, right? That's why like protein shakes that are without sugar are kind of pointless unless you're eating it with something else, right? With something sweet to spike your insulin. Because a protein shake with sugar comes for a reason. That sugar helps what? Helps you carry that, it replaces your glycogen storages with the sugar, so that protein doesn't get turned into glycogen. Because if you just take protein with nothing else, what your body's going to do, because its priority is not building muscle, it's getting you, make sure your heart's beating, make sure your brain's working, right? Your eyesight's working. So the first thing it needs is not to build muscle. The first thing it needs is what? Energy to keep the body going. That protein gets turned into glycogen. It breaks it down into glycogen, and then if you have protein left, it's going to recover your muscles. But its priority is not taking care of your muscles. So that's why you want to eat some sugar as soon as they're done working out. Follow that with protein.
Yeah, that's why like I don't like getting any flavored brands. I'm not a big advocate of like artificial sweeteners or anything like that. And like you said, a lot of protein powders do use artificial sweeteners because most people are like, oh, I want to stay away from the carbs, like because now like people are, like before people were scared of fat, now a lot of people are scared of carbs. Yeah. So I just want pure protein. Yeah. So, but they want a sweetener. I always get plain protein powder. Yeah. And I get like also a protein blend because again, there's another thing. Not all proteins are equal either. Yeah. You have like slow digesting proteins like casein, which are like milk or dairy-based proteins, and then you have whey, which is more of a fast digesting protein.
And I hear you got to rotate them too. Like I hear from a lot of nutrition. Like you're supposed to, your body will absorb to a certain kind of protein and like not absorb it as well as if you're constantly.
Yeah, like if you eat like 80 grams of whey protein, you're wasting probably about like half of it.
Yeah.
Because I think it varies, but I think it's around 40 grams is like a threshold of what you can absorb in a fast digesting.
Which varies from individual to individual
Of
too.
course,
Because that's
of
the thing
course,
about nutrition and I think health in general, a lot of people miss is that we're not clones. Just like we vary on the outside, we vary on the inside. Now, you know, I always make this analogy, but we all have arms, eyes, nose, but they're not the same size, color.
Yeah.
My arms might be longer than yours, whatever. On the inside, I imagine it'd be the same, and that includes not only your brain but your organs as well. Like our body does not absorb protein the same way, but we do have a threshold of how much protein you can absorb. Yeah. And after a certain point, your body is just like wasting it, and actually it's even unhealthy. You know, have too much protein in your diet. But if you're an athlete, like a lot of the rules of normality don't apply to you. You got to remember that. Yeah. What would be the healthy amount of protein for someone who doesn't work out is not the same for someone who's working out twice a day.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like how they always used to make the comparisons of like a chimpanzee has a strength of like 8 men. Yeah, I'm like, they don't have the strength of 8, like Bob Sapp's, right? Yeah. Right? Like,
it depends. It depends what man you're talking about.
Exactly.
You know what the other thing I remember that there was like someone that was arguing with me that gorillas only eat fruit and greens, and look how strong they are. They're strong pound for pound, and they're the strongest animal on the planet. I'm like, yeah, it's a very different genetic set. But in their heads, this is how much the diet conversation can be confusing if you don't understand all the other components that come with this conversation. A gorilla is not healthy or strong because it eats bananas, fruit, and greens. A gorilla is strong because of its genetic background. Yeah. Because it's sexually selected by female. The females want to mate with the strongest gorilla in the group. That's why they're strong. It's a genetic selection process that goes on. It's not because, they're eating bananas every day. In other words, I would be as strong as a gorilla if I ate bananas. It's ridiculous. But then people kind of believe this. If only I ate like a gorilla, I'm going to be just as strong as it is. And you have to understand the other components of this discussion so the diet makes sense. Like you have a blueprint, right? That blueprint is who you are. And then you can maximize that blueprint. So think of it as a house, and you can make that house look really, really nice, but the plumbing and electricity and some of the other components are predetermined. You're there. And then you can make the most of it within what was given you, but you're never going to be as strong as a gorilla. And that has nothing to do with where you shop or how much you work out. Yeah, you have a different blueprint. And it seems obvious, but you'd be surprised at how much resistance you find when discussing these issues with people, because people seem to think that people are like, you can be anything you want to be. No, you're never going to be. There's certain things there's a box, and that's where you can, you have like I won't say a box. Let me rephrase that. You have a lane where you have to operate. That's your species. You can't go outside of that.
Right, right. And coming back to something you had said earlier, besides timing is quantity. And I think a lot of people overeat without even realizing they're overeating. And an interesting fact about your stomach is that just like your cars have sensors now, your stomach has sensors that tells it whether it's full or whatnot. And your fullness has like a 15-minute delay. So you can eat a big meal really fast, but if you eat it within 15 minutes, you're going to start feeling, and then you have people, they call it the itis, right? Yeah. Like, and you start doubling over. You overate. And what happened was you ate too fast, so your stomach didn't have a chance to tell you in time that you overate.
I didn't know that. But that makes a lot of sense because I feel like I overeat all the time, but I can't stop eating when I'm eating. Because I think my brain, my stomach has not told my brain yet that that's plenty, bro. And then you're right, 20, 30 minutes later, I'm like, holy cow, I ate too much.
So that's why they tell you eat slow, right? Yeah, because when you eat slow, you're giving your stomach a chance to register. Okay, now we're good. We can settle down. Yeah. And there's even there's also sensors for the type of food. Like sometimes you crave protein, right? And you might eat something, but you're still hungry, right? And that's your body telling you, hey, you need more protein. Or sometimes people crave fat or they crave carbs. But in general, that delay is important because I know a lot of people try to eat too much, and there's a lot in their conditioning that tells us to eat more also. If you didn't clean your plate when you were a kid, your parents are chastising you. Yeah. I know for me it was my grandma. My grandma is an Italian grandmother. So you didn't eat everything. you eat more.
Yeah.
You know? And then if you finish the plate, they give you a second plate.
And it's a cultural issue too. In the northeast of Brazil, has historically always been the poorest region in Brazil. If you have fat kids, it's a sign of status.
Yeah.
It's a sign of social status if your children are fat, because it means like, look,
I
got so much food at home. Look, my children are all fat, and it's changed a lot now. But like, if I one of my best friends in Brazil, his mother's from the northeast of Brazil, and that's exactly how she is. If she saw you with abs, she'd be freaking out. Like, no, no, eat, please eat. Yeah. And then you see, like, the chubbier kids are the ones you're like, look at that kid. He's so cute. Look at him. Like, it's a different kind of like a set of values because of the economics behind it. It changed how we perceive health.
Yeah, no, for sure. But that's a tip that can help a lot of people. Just eat slowly. Not only does that help you as far as the digestion, and you're not going to be overfull, because my goal is when I eat, I can work out right afterwards. Yeah. And I do all the time. Like, I'll eat and then I'll go to the gym right away and start lifting, running, whatever. And I don't feel like I'm going to throw up or anything like that. If you're feeling that, you overeat. You know what I mean? And that also is going to put you in a frame where your metabolism is going to slow down, because when you're eating to digest, blood has to go into your stomach to help with that digestion. And that's why you see people get sleepy. Yeah. Because it's like the whole system's like shutting down. Like, you overloaded it. Yeah. You know what I mean? So like, you want to eat. Eating less is going to extend you a little bit.
If you have, I mean, for example, I grew up in Brazil, and in Brazil I think Brazil eats more red meat than any other country of the world. It has the cheapest red meat in the world because it's the biggest exporter of red meat in the world. It's very available, right? Like, poor people eat steak all the time. And it has to do with, it's a cultural thing too. Like, get together, Sunday, barbecue, beer, soccer, meat, right? As a kid, I didn't even eat rice, bean salad. All I ate was meat. I just wanted meat. I love Brazilian barbecue so much. As a result, you get very, very full. And I noticed this early on in my childhood. I realized that when I ate steak, it would go like 4 or 5 hours before I feel like, oh, now I feel like I can run. I feel like I'm ready to move around again. Whereas if I ate like the same amount of calories, maybe something else, my body, like pasta, my body would digest it so much faster. It goes back to that reason we were discussing earlier of how differently your body's going to digest all these things. So your body's using a lot of blood and energy to digest meat. Yeah. Right? So I even feel like if I eat steak, I get tired faster because my body's using a lot of that blood that could be going to my muscles to digest that meat. Whereas something like, like pasta is going to just run through your body. Not that you should eat pasta before you work out, but the digesting is a lot easier. And I think that a lot of people got to pay attention to these things. So like, generally speaking, people know this, but you shouldn't be eating meat before you work out, before you compete, right? It's something you should be leaving to do after you're done. My father used to play basketball in high school and in college, and he said that back in the day, they actually told you to eat steak the day of the game. Like, that was the belief that steak was going to make you strong.
Yeah, protein. Yeah.
But we know that's bogus. So.
Yeah, and again, it's a trial and error process. If you're a competitor, you should be charting how you do with certain foods, right? Like a rookie mistake to me, and I've seen it happen so many times as a coach, is somebody will go to a competition and they're gonna try some new energy drink or whatnot the day of the competition. Yeah, I'm like, bro, have you ever tried this before? Because if you haven't, you have no idea how it's gonna react.
Yeah, supplements,
it's like, imagine you're doing experiments with like a nuclear weapon. Yeah. Are you gonna start like tinkering and when you don't know what you're doing? It's like, no, like your body's the same way. Like, don't like throw some unknown variables like when you're gonna compete. Like,
I felt a student of mine. I'll never forget this story. He was you get really like sleeping during the competition. I think his adrenaline would peak so high he'd have a crash like the second match. Right, that's happened to me too. Because like, you're so up here so long, your body is exhausted from all that hype, and then it just kind of crashes. So this guy took like Adderall. Oh God! He took two. He ended up taking Adderall before he took two because he didn't think one was enough. He was having a hard. He was free. It was funny because just like the way he was, like after his match, the way he was talking and behaving, it wasn't even himself. He was like high on Adderall. But yeah, you got to be careful, man. This is not something you want to test it in whatever supplements or diet. It's not the day of the competition, like they've said. It's something you have to be trying out before. And the other thing too is, I recommend like you actually doing some research on what you're taking. A lot of things out there have no scientific backing. Like, and you'd be surprised in how people will push something on you and you believe it because you want to believe it, and there's actually no it's just like snake oil. It's just a placebo effect, right?
Yeah.
There's a website called, I don't know if it's Examine or Examined.com. One of our affiliates in Toronto, Ian, he's the one who recommended me take a look. And it has a lot of like scientific data. It's not really looking to get sponsors. It's not selling you anything. It's just giving you, like, for example, if you type in creatine, it's going to show you all the scientific data back in creatine. Creatine is a very well-studied substance. So we know it works, right? And then there's others that, tribulus dehydrates, where it's supposed to boost your testosterone naturally, and the data is very iffy. Like, there's not a lot of concrete data. And I've taken tribulus my whole life, believing that it was going to increase my testosterone, and there's no evidence. I mean, some very thin evidence, but it's not conclusive like creatine, for example. So you got to be careful. Just because the label says it's going to do this and that for you, I don't believe it. I kind of don't believe the FDA. I think they lost a lot of credibility because I feel like a lot of times I wonder what level pharmaceutical industry and the health industry have lobbying influence on their policies.
Oh, for sure.
So that's an issue. I'm like, I'm not saying, in theory, they should be screening this for us. In practice, I wonder how influenced they are by big money, right? Yeah. Big pharma. So, you got to be careful. I'm not saying that I know, but it's just because they say that it's going to do something doesn't mean it does.
Yeah, I'm not big on taking lots of supplements or anything like that. There's only a few things I take. Protein powder, like I said, plain unflavored blend of casein and whey, and hydrolyzed whey. Fish oil, I take that.
Probably the main one.
A multivitamin and a magnesium zinc combo. Like that's another thing I learned recently. But sometimes they'll sell you a multivitamin that has everything you want. But what you don't realize is that a lot of these minerals and vitamins, they conflict with each other.
Yeah.
And for example,
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So like, for example, magnesium and zinc, if you have them with, I forget which vitamin, they won't absorb. So it's essentially you're getting expensive pee now. You know what I mean? So it's just all flushing out. Yeah. So actually, like the multivitamin has most of the stuff, and then I take a separate pill with magnesium, zinc.
That's when you drink your pee, Dave.
Exactly.
That's when you do a machina and you drink your pee in the morning.
Yeah.
Don't tell me you don't do that.
It's funny because there's some stuff that backs that up, but
actually, I don't know. Maybe it is true. I still don't. I still rather buy new supplements than drink my pee, man.
Yeah. But the other thing is, my girlfriend always tells me that urine is sterile. Yeah. You won't get sick. Right?
It's just salt and water. That's all it is.
Yeah. But I'd rather not.
Still pee, man.
It doesn't smell good. So I can't imagine it's going to go down well.
No, oh my God. That's hilarious.
But it's interesting because the old time people would taste their urine because they would be able to detect like what's wrong, right? Because some people would say like
you must have drank a lot of urine in your life if you'd be able to tell what the person has. That's a lot of pee drinking. I remember I used to take that supplement called Animal Pack. You remember that one?
I've heard of that. Yeah,
it was like a little bag. It had like 11 pills, I think. They're like really hard to swallow. You have to drink lots of water. You get used to it. I was able to take the whole pack with no water, believe it or not.
Yeah.
But you get used to it. But like a couple hours later, your pee is bright yellow, like glow in the dark kind of yellow, because your body can't absorb it. Right?
Yeah, it doesn't absorb it all. Apparently, the yellowish color comes from vitamin B. Actually.
I thought it was just like too many vitamins in general.
I used to think that too, but
vitamin B.
I heard it from my girlfriend. She said it's I mean, there's other things, but vitamin B is usually what gives it a very strong.
Because
coloring.
This is what happens if you're deficient in something. I believe your body would absorb it. But if you're not deficient in vitamin A, what is your body going to do with it? Just because you're taking more doesn't mean your body's going to hold on to more. It only needs so much.
Yeah, so you're getting a surplus. You know what I mean? Yes. But at the very least, you're getting. Because a lot of times your diet might not have those different minerals that you might be deficient of. But so those are the only things I take. I don't take anything else outside of that. And all the things I get, they're all like, quote unquote, naturally sourced.
What do you? I was going to ask you, like, what do you believe? What is the effects of placebo in your opinion when it comes to these diets or supplements? Because I'm kind of, like, for example, I take creatine because I know the data backs it up.
Yeah.
Right. Unless the data I've seen is faulty, I've never really studied it extensively. Exactly. But I kind of, I guess like there's a belief element there that creatine works. I never felt it. And then there are other things that people try to tell me there's no scientific backing, but like I actually do feel a little bit better. So I wonder, I mean, you got to be skeptic towards your own, like, you know, your own inclinations as far as like, I want this to work.
Yes.
Right. I take a lot of CBD. I have a lot herniated disc on my lower back. It's been bothering me for 10 years. I didn't even know it was a herniated disc for probably 5 MRIs. Like nothing came out. They couldn't find. They finally found it. You have a herniated disc. So there's a reason I have a very low tolerance for stain. It's extremely painful. When I go to the doctor, they prescribe me opioids, you know, which I'm prescribed, but I don't take because I know the side effects. So I just rather deal with the pain than be addicted to opioids. So I've been experimenting a lot with CBD, and I've been hearing a lot of mixed things about it. Like, you know, it may not be as
Potent.
yeah, exactly, not as potent, or a lot of it just might be placebo, or it's not it's not as efficient as, you know, you would have believe, but it helps me. So I always ask myself how much of that is actually helping me versus is just placebo.
You know, I think if you well, one thing is you don't want to overly convince yourself of what you want to believe, right?
Yeah.
Like, because you might be saying, oh, I want to believe that CBD helps me, and I'm gonna start doing it, and then you're kind of buying it into your own hype. But at the same time, if it works, why the placebo might not be such a bad thing, you know? Granted, if you're not getting extorted in any way.
If it does the job, it does the job.
I try to, like, everything I take and I measure, like, everything I do. Like, my girlfriend gets nuts because I'll do body measurements. I measure every part of my body, like, once a month and whatnot. I record everything I eat every day, my weight. So, like, I know there's a metric that I can measure, right? Like, I also track my sleep and all that. So, like, if I'm not getting enough sleep or I'm not feeling good energy levels and I'm doing the same thing, then I know, okay, either something's wrong here or something's missing. And then that's what to me, it's all trial and error. I always have to be playing around with the variables. But, like, right now I'm in a pretty good place.
Yeah.
I feel I'm getting pretty good sleep. I'm working out well, feeling healthy.
Yeah, and that's most important. If you feel good. Like yes, 100%. Placebo, if it does the job, you don't want to know. As long as it's working, making you feel, even if it's psychological, you know, I think that's extremely important.
Yeah.
I was convinced that acupuncture worked, you know, and I wrote a health article a while ago, and I had a guy, you know, who edited the article for me, and he's like, actually, there's no backing for it. And I'm like, get out of here, you know. It's like, and I started looking into it. There really is no scientific evidence to back it up. Like, it's controversial because you know they're going to claim it does, but it's difficult to measure because when someone sticks a needle on you, where's the control group? Someone's sticking a needle on you, you know exactly. You know, there's no way of fooling your body to believe that there was nothing. Like the needle kind of like it tells you that you are doing acupuncture. So it's the control group can never be, you know. So it's a difficult thing to verify, but it's not something that like science backs. Like, and I've always believed it. I've done acupuncture so many times, and there's so much stuff out there that we don't know if it actually works. But we just kind of take it because everyone else taking it, and you just gotta be careful, man.
Hey, well, you have brought up a good point, right? Because you had said that you've been taking creatine, and one of the reasons why was because you read the research that it does, but you didn't do the research.
No, exactly.
You don't know. You're trusting somebody.
There's an element of faith there. No, 100%.
And we are, right? Like, pretty much everything that we've ever learned from a secondhand source, it's a faith element. You're believing, you know, like...
But here's the thing, though. I think that scientists and academics can definitely get it wrong, and it's often corrected by other scientists and other academics, but there's still a much better source than the layperson. You know, I think that if I had to trust someone in a jiu-jitsu lesson, I would rather trust a jiu-jitsu coach over the basketball coach.
Right.
Even though some jiu-jitsu coaches are pretty crappy, even the crappy coaches are still more likely to give me better advice than the basketball coach. So I think that I would still, even though I know it's an element of faith, because I wasn't there during the experiment and I don't have my own personal critical judgment on that experiment, right? I would still lean towards the people who went to school, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. I like following people who are doing what I'm doing that's working. Because to me, that even weighs a little bit heavier than someone says this works but has never done it, right? Because then you have someone who's just like a researcher, but he's not doing field trials, right? Where I had mentioned this before, but like it's like going to a gym to work out, and someone's going to give you workout advice, and they're completely out of shape.
Yeah, you're
It's
suspicious.
it
They might be an amazing coach,
They could be,
but
right?
you're immediately suspicious.
There's something incongruent with that experience, right?
Yes, I agree.
Because then it's like, why aren't you doing it?
Yeah. If
it works, why?
It's like going to a dentist and he's got horrible
he's
teeth.
missing teeth. And
You're
stuff.
like looking at him going, wait a second, you're gonna tell me how to take care of my teeth? Yeah. I've actually seen that. It's horrible.
Yeah. So I think you mentioned something too. To me, one of the best measures of health is your vitality. Yeah. Your energy. The aesthetics has never been something that's a driving force for me. Yeah. As you can see, I'm a hairy monkey, like if I cared, I would be doing body waxing and stuff. To me, that's never been a thing.
I cared, just not to the point of let it take over my life, like I've never had, even like weigh-ins, I never had abs. I never cared either. It's kind of like got baby abs at best. I don't know. I think some people care too much and some people don't care at all. You gotta,
you definitely,
it's a balance,
you definitely have to care because
I just want to be single forever, to some extent you gotta care.
I mean, your brain, your soul, your body is being carried by this physical vehicle, your body, and if it's in shambles, how do you think you're going to be doing overall? Your emotional state's affected by it, and your thoughts and your feelings, they're all affected by the way you carry yourself, So if you don't take care of your body, it's a symptom to me of other problems, emotional or mental or otherwise. So again, if you're a little overweight or whatnot, that's subjective. But if you're like morbidly obese or you're overweight, right? Like maybe you're carrying 50 pounds past what you should be. To me, that's a mental imbalance, right? It's like, what's going on? Why are you disregarding your health? Yeah. And most people, they feel it, right? Like they know something's wrong. But they're like, either make excuses or they put it off for later, procrastinate. Like, I'll wait till the next year, or I'll wait till this thing's done.
And then I think there's some people who just truly don't care. Like they're hedonists, I'm just gonna eat myself to the grave and I'm happy. And I've met some like really obese people in my life. They were like completely, they seemed okay at least, even though they knew they weren't healthy. They weren't like in denial about it. It was just like, screw it, I don't know. Like to me, like I maybe fail at this more often than I succeed, but I try to find a balance in life. I was never like a health Nazi where I'd go, I'm not gonna eat, donut ever, or if I want to eat it, I'm gonna eat one. If I'm gonna eat, like I have a thing for like chips. I love Cheetos, man. I don't even buy Cheetos because if I buy them, they're gonna last like half an hour. I don't buy them because I love them so much, right? But if I see a bag of Cheetos somewhere, if I'm hungry and I'm dry, I'll eat some, But it's not. You have to find that balance, and your discipline's got to kick in at some point, and go that's too much. I'll eat a handful of Cheetos. You don't have to eat the whole bag, even though in the case of Cheetos, I'd rather just not have it around just in case, But you just have to find a balance. And I think that, closer to our world, I think that people, when they're going back to the dentist analogy or the strength and conditioning coach who's overweight, we have to monitor our health as instructors, because people look up to you, and it's not the best example if you're not trying.
No, you're a role model.
You're a role model. It doesn't mean you're not a good coach. You can be an outstanding coach, super knowledgeable, right? And be obese. They're very different things, but it doesn't really. It helps. It's like imagine a coach that doesn't teach takedowns. He might be a great coach, but he's still missing the takedowns as part of his coaching. Like, how can you teach jiu-jitsu and not show a closed guard or a takedown? They have to be part of your, overall,
regimen.
Library.
For
exactly.
Sure.
And then the diet to me falls in that category. I avoid like eating junk food in front of my students, to be honest. Like I don't eat much, but like when I do, it's like I try not to, because, at the end of the day, people do look up to you, and you're kind of like, the thing about being a coach, you're constantly under scrutiny.
For sure.
Yeah. So you have to kind of monitor your behavior on and off the mats.
Yeah. And, like we were saying, you are a role model, and a lot of these people who are coming to train are just trying to get in better shape. They're trying to feel better about themselves, whether it's to gain confidence or whatnot. And your physical appearance is a big part of that. Yeah. And the way you can move your body is also a big part of that. That's why, to me, like, I know there's some people who are overweight, and they're like, I'm happy with the way I am. I'm like, are you though? I'm suspicious of that. I think that's a front. Yeah. If you're, really overweight. I'm not talking about like if you're like 10 pounds, 15 pounds, whatever. That's aesthetic, right? Now it's like, whatever. But like if your range of motion is limited, or your physical activity is limited
you
by
need
your
help
size,
getting up. Yeah.
you know, you can't tell me that you're living your full life. You're missing out on experiences. You know
100%. And I don't want to judge. Like some situations it's warranted, but I see people on those little scooters.
Yeah,
and it's like man, like what is this, man?
Yeah, it's one thing if you're injured or you're like
injured, you're 80 years old, but like I don't know, man. Like I
was in West Virginia for like 2 years, and I saw so many people because West Virginia is the obesity capital of the U.S.
Yeah,
raining for a while apparently because it still is now, and you would see so many people on scooters, you know, and they're like 30 years old.
I don't understand.
And just enormous.
And I hate judging, man, because like, you know, we all judge. You tell me, I don't judge. Yeah, you do. And we all do, right? Even if you keep it to yourself, you're judging. But, you know, I think, I don't know, I don't say this, at the end of the day, they're adults. They're free, you know, adults, and they can choose to live their lives that way. But it's, I think in the case of them having children and them raising their children like that, it borders on child abuse. Yeah. If you don't take care of your child's health, if you want to destroy your own health, it's kind of like if you want to smoke crack when you're in your you know early 20s, it's kind of like, all right, you're an adult. I don't agree with you. I think you're nuts, but hey,
go for it.
But with children, I think that there's definitely situations where the state should step in and do something about it because to me it's child abuse. If you're feeding your children garbage all day, every day, and they're obese and you're not doing anything about it, that's child abuse.
Yeah, you know, and it's hard being a big kid growing up, you know what I mean? So it's not besides the physical damage that you're doing, you're giving them some mental stigmas as well.
Yeah, but here's the thing,
the habits are going to build.
You got pushed as a child when you got you got bullied and made fun of so much. You know what? I should probably shape up, but you can't. So like, there's less pressure in school because no one can say anything either. Yeah. And I'm like, I think that in some instances, political correctness has pushed it too far. We should be able to. Hey man, you should probably lose some weight, you know? Yeah. I'm not saying have abs, but you are unhealthy. But again, that is judgment on my part. I understand that.
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, there's no reason to like chastise or make fun of somebody, but to point out something that's wrong, I don't think.
I call that helping. Yeah. That's tough love to me. Like if I tell you something wrong, dude, I'm the kind of guy, if I have bad breath, I want you to tell me. Yeah. Don't be like, if I have something on my, I've got a beard most of the year, you know, I get food on it. People don't say anything. Are you kidding me, bro? Like, you know,
like a boogie hanging out.
Yeah, like exactly. You know, like, I want to hear it, man. Like I like to surround myself with people who criticize me, and even if it's honestly, sometimes like I've been criticized in my life for, you know, and as an attempt of attacking me, not helping me, but they were trying to hurt me, and I still took it like in a positive way because I go, thank you. You made me aware of an aspect of my personality I was unaware of. It's a mistake that I've been making. You're right, you know. But I like to surround myself with people that tell me the truth. Yeah. You know, and I think that's, you know, this is for truth, for fighting and for life in general. I don't like people who bullshit me just to make me feel good. I don't. You might make me feel good momentarily, but you don't solve the problem unless you point out the problem. And sometimes people are unaware of the problem, A, or B, they just don't know what to do about it. So I think that friends and family should intervene a lot of times and break it down. You're like, hey man, this is what's going on. You know, this is how we're going to help you. And that's true for physically and psychologically. I mean, I'm sure traits about your personality that, you know, you've probably been, I got many, that's why I'm saying you probably have at least a few, say I so many, that really upset people, right? There's some things in my personality that drive people crazy around me. And, you know, sometimes you're unaware of it until someone makes you aware of it. And then that's the first step, correcting whatever that is. For sure. Is awareness, right?
You know, and especially when you talk about things like when people are depressed or whatnot. Yeah. Like someone who is chronically depressed is generally not going to dig himself out of the hole without some help, right? Yeah. And if you're just being like you said, like a yes man or just saying what those people want to hear, they'll never get themselves out.
It's not love. It's not love. I was with my daughters yesterday walking the park, and I was teaching them what tough love was, and I was explaining that tough love is real love. Because like Coach Max makes the kids run sprints after class every day, and the kids hate it because like some of them are crying, they don't want to run sprints. He runs it kind of like a wrestling practice, right? Yeah. And then, you know, I was explaining like, why does he do that? And then like they're quiet. I'm like, it's because he likes you. He wants you to be stronger. So that's what we call tough love, and they understood it. So you know, when the teacher asks you to study hard, what is he? Is he being nice or mean? And then my daughter went, oh, she's being nice. Why? Oh, because she's helping me be better. I'm like, exactly.
Yeah.
And, you know, and it's funny because like sometimes kids do a better job understanding simple little life lessons than adults do. Because adults have like all that ideology to defend themselves with. And they go, that's not how it is. This is how it should be. Right? When you explain it to a child, I find like my children are often like more open to understanding these, like some of these principles, you know, and like understand if I'm being hard on you, it's because I care for you, you know, not because, you know, I'm trying to hurt you or by exposing you to the truth.
You know, sometimes the more you know, the less you know, right? Because one of the analogies I've heard about, like children absorb things much easier than adults because they know less, right? And when you know less, that means there's more possibilities, right? Because it's, for example, if you go with a student that's a know-it-all, it's very hard to coach them because they already believe they know everything.
Yeah.
So how are you going to teach somebody that already knows what you're teaching them?
They're uncoachables. I think I was talking to you, what were we talking about this the other day? The uncoachables. Like there's some people that can't be coached.
Yeah.
And I don't even, as I've done my around BJJ and MMA, and I've gotten to the point where some people, I just don't want to coach them. They're their own worst enemies. They don't want to listen. It's like, hey man, if you don't trust me, then get the hell out of here.
Yeah, it's
like,
hard.
Go somewhere else.
It's hard to teach somebody who knows everything.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's why as a child, when you literally don't know anything, it's easier to accept these lessons. But once you start knowing things, or you think you know them, and people start trying to tell you stuff, you have excuses armed that they're ready, you know, or you have this things that you think you understand that conflicts. And that's why, like, I think there's a Socrates that says he knows nothing.
Yeah.
You know?
All I know is that I nothing know.
Yeah. You know, so
ignorance was it's the acknowledgement of ignorance that makes you wise.
Yes. So for sure, you know, and I think that makes you a lot more humble, and that's why being humble is a desirable trait, right? Because people feel that you're approachable and that you'll listen to them, right? Because someone who's very arrogant generally doesn't listen to people, right? They have their own mind.
White belt mentality.
Yeah.
Right? We're just talking about that.
So for sure, and I think when we come back like to just like your lifestyle and your diet or whatnot, you always have to be willing to learn new things, and that's why I try new things. Like, I mean, I've been doing this now for like 20-something years, and when I started, actually the whole thing that got me into going through my diet and my exercise routine again was when I had the knee surgery, right? I had an imbalance. I like lived with this for like probably like 5 years, and it was kind of like one of those things, oh, it's not a big deal, or I'll take care of it later down the road. But like, I look back and I'm like, man, if I would have taken care of this when it happened like 5 years ago, I would have had a much better quality of life for the 5 years. You know, like I wasn't running, wasn't wrestling, was being very limited physical capabilities. And that's kind of what happens with people when you have bad health. Like in general, like if you're out of shape or whatnot, you're not going to have energy to do the things that you might want to do. But you're like, I'm being physically limited by my obesity or by just bad nutrition. I'm not able to move, you know? So like, these are the type of things that you should be taking care of immediately when you can identify them. And like you said, if you have a true friend that's going to tell you, hey, look, you're out of balance or you're out of this.
You just said something. I just want to block in one thing there. True friend. Because I've struggled in the past, you know, something some people maybe struggle with. It's like identifying people who actually, when they give you advice, they're actually looking out for you, or when they're looking out for themselves.
Yeah.
So you're going to find a lot of people in your circle, and if this is true for everyone, a lot of times when they give you advice, they really have their own agenda at heart. You know, I think that's a very important, being able to identify advice when it is aimed at bettering you, or is if it's just for their own sake. You know, and I think people can be very selfish, right? So that's something to watch out for, because like you really want to take advice, but you have to be able to like narrow down who your true friends are. You know, the people that like they will be there for you regardless. You know, there's, you know, you if you really narrowed it down, man, like it's a small circle most people have. You know?
It is, because generally everybody's looking out for their needs, and rightly so. You got to take care of yourself. Yeah. But I always feel like I think we are all selfish by nature, and everything that I do is ultimately going to help me in some way, whether it's emotional or financial, physical, whatever. But I think what separates like a good friend from someone, like you said, who's being more manipulative, is that someone who's good is trying to make win-win situations.
Yeah. Right?
Like, you know, I'm going to do this for you, Rob, to help you out, and I know it's going to also help me, but you're going to get benefit from this, more maybe more benefit than me or whatnot, right? Whereas someone who's manipulative is just trying to engineer a situation which is beneficial to them, and whatever happens to you, whatever.
The consequence,
you know what I mean?
of what's benefits.
Yeah.
You know what's funny? People like that is the ability people have to self-deceive, to lie to themselves until construct a narrative that suits them, so they can go, "Oh, I'm really trying to help Dave." When if you actually looked at things, bluntly, you would actually go, "No, you're not. You're actually looking out for yourself." There's an old Latin proverb, Roman proverb that went "Qui bono," who benefits. Yeah. So when I find out if there's a problem, political problem, instead of like pointing fingers, like you do it reverse engineering. You just look at the end result and you go, who benefits? Right. That's your number one suspect, and then you trace back the facts. Right. It's a way of finding things out because, the person who benefits from that situation is normally it tells a story, right? In politics, we say follow the money. You want to find out what's happening in the world, stop watching the news, follow the money. It really comes down to that because like these things, they take precedence over a lot of other things. So, that's one thing I try to identify is like, okay, this person's telling me to do this X, Y, and Z, this advice, how do they benefit from it? If I don't find anything, I'm going, seems to be more genuine advice.
I think a lot of times too, like when you help people, and again, if you're a decent person, a good person, you do get satisfaction from knowing that you were able to contribute to somebody's life and make it better. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Without any like other motive, really. Yeah. You're just getting that. You've talked about this before when you're coaching or whatnot. It's like that feeling or that's
gratifying.
It's very gratifying when you know that you've helped someone get to another level. And even if it never comes back to you, that doesn't really matter. You made the world a better place. Right.
And that has value. Yeah. Like that is it's not, you can't quantify it, but it's we need people like that. We need actions like that on people. Everyone has a potential to be kind and evil. I believe that. Yeah. But we need people making those efforts to improve on people around them. 100%.
For sure. I mean, I think that's why me and you got into coaching. At least for me, I've had that given to me in spades, or people. I haven't had many coaches in my life, and for very
same here.
Limited amounts of time. I had my wrestling coach Tirso for about 3 years. I had my MMA coach Randy for about 2 years, and that's pretty much it. Besides me and my brother.
You're largely self-taught, right? Would you say that?
Yeah, for the most part.
I feel in some ways I was self-taught because I trained for large portions of time by myself. Most of my jiu-jitsu career, in fact, I didn't have a coach at all, right? And I feel in some ways it's made me a better coach because I feel like I try to supply to my students what wasn't easily supplied to me. Sometimes you can overdo it because I think like the grind is part of like sometimes you give too much. We had this discussion before, but you can overdo it, right? It's kind of like spoiling a child. Yep. The dad that had it super hard in his childhood, and then he goes like opposite, like 180, and he's trying like now I'm going to give my son everything like he wants. And you're actually doing him a disfavor. Yeah. But like I think that I think that coaches they are striving to help their student, but you just have to like feed them the right amount of help.
Yeah, it's one of the nicer things. That's why I felt like I wanted to talk a little bit about diet and nutrition today, because it's one of those things that can make an immediate impact on someone's life if they implement it. But like you said, the main thing with having a good diet or exercise lifestyle is discipline. Yeah. Like anybody to me that is massively overweight or whatnot has discipline problems. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, like if you want to lose weight, you stop eating, you'll lose weight. Right. Yeah. So like, but it's a discipline issue. How much to eat, when to eat. Yeah. These are all factors that are important. So that's why I think it translates to everything else. Because if you have good discipline in your diet, it'll translate everywhere else, because that's like one of the hardest things to control. I think besides sex, food. Yeah, food.
So it's a hard thing. Absolutely. There's like, you're programmed to want these things, and it's very hard to fight that. I struggled. I remember cutting weight for fights. It was like, I can see a commercial of like hamburgers or pizza and not really crave it, but like I even like the food that would normally be nasty to me, like Taco Bell or something, I'd see a commercial and be like, man, that looks delicious right now because your stomach is messing with your head. You know, you're craving that, but it's an addiction too. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
I'm drinking water now. I pretty much only drink water. I drink coffee too. Juice if it's around, I'll drink it, but I don't make juice.
Yeah.
I don't drink soda. I haven't drink. I mean, if there's nothing else to drink, I'll drink a glass of Coke, but like I don't crave it. I don't buy it, right? And it was a habit because I was addicted to sugar drinks for a long time. You know, a big part, most of my life, in fact. And maybe like 10, 15 years ago, I just stopped and I'd only drink water. And then you stop craving it. You go through a cold turkey phase.
Sure.
Like, and these we associate cold turkey with, you know, drugs, obviously, but it goes for a lot of things in life.
Oh yeah.
Even relationships. It goes for your relationships in the gym. It goes for, you know, things you eat. Like your body gets used to certain nourishment, whether it's social, whether it's emotional, whether it's physical, and then when it's taken away from you, like there's a void there, right? So, you know, I for example, like in stressful, I like to smoke cigars, you know, and to me it's like a stress relief thing. Like if I'm like stressed out, like I'll smoke a cigar. It kind of relaxes me. Like to me, it's something that kind of replaces, you know, like the whatever issues I'm dealing with at the moment, right? So a cigar helps. I think that a lot of people that are struggling with like they're trying to break from an addiction or something, they will look for something like that, right?
For sure. No, like what you had said with the emotions is another big factor in your life and how you deal with stress, right? Yeah. And people who tend to be overweight have what they call comfort foods.
Yeah, right? Yeah. That's exactly because I heard that term before, and like I know people they lean towards these things for as a form of comfort.
The common like TV trope of women eating ice cream when they had a breakup or whatnot.
Yeah.
That's real though.
Yeah.
People do that.
Yeah.
You know, I used to do that too. Yeah. Like if I was just like, tired or bored or something like that, or I wasn't feeling my ice cream, pounded away or whatnot, you know, like people have like what you were saying, mental associations with certain patterns of behavior. Sometimes like smoking, or sometimes and you know, everybody has a way of coping with stress. And like a little bit's fine, but sometimes they get overblown. Like to me, like the smoker who's like smoking like 2 packs of cigarettes a day, like shoving them down, it's a very different mental state than like when you're just smoking a cigar casually, right? Or it's like the same thing with drinking. You know, like if you're drinking a glass of wine with friends or whatnot, it's very different versus the guy who goes on a bender drinking pitchers of beer.
You can replace one problem with another much bigger in the case of alcohol. I think a lot of people lean towards that. And I've always been like, I don't drink much. People who know me, I'm not a big drinker, never have been. But like occasionally, you know, I'll have a drink or two. I've always been paranoid of anything, you know, any kind of addiction. I've always been frightened of like you developing any kind of addiction. But I always had like 2 rules with me. Like I never drink alone, and I never drink if I'm not feeling well.
That's a good rule.
Because I would never want that to become something I lean on. Because I've seen it in my family.
Oh yeah.
You know, and I just, something to watch out for. You know, and I think that goes for everything, not just. I think foods are definitely a way people look to fill, you know, that void, whatever they're going through, and it's a way of replacing one kind of pain with a different.
Correct.
Kind of pain.
Right. That's what what's what coping can be. Right. Like you're essentially disguising one problem by creating another one that's easier to deal with, right? Like a lot of people who have like deep emotional problems, sometimes I forgot what they call the term, but you essentially can create your own physical pain on demand without realizing it, right? Like in the States, like it's very common like for people to have neck and back pain, and just from being stressed. Not they're office workers and they're getting pain in it's like in the chair. Or, no, it's not that. It's that you're manifesting pain
through your body,
and it's through like I think they call it like oxygen deprivation. Essentially, your body deprives oxygen in a certain region, and that causes the pain sensation. But it's like it's a manufactured pain because you have an emotional problem that you are not confronting, and like the pain has to be expressed. Whether it's somewhere.
Yes.
I know I've dealt with this myself. Like I was like 2004, 2005, the gym was in shambles and just going through a really rough time. Like this when we just opened up the gym, my brother and I were like maybe like $30,000 in debt, paying like 29% APR in credit card loans. A disaster. It's a freaking disaster. And there was nights where like nobody would show up to the gym and like no phone calls, no emails. You're like, oh my God, how are we gonna survive this? You know? and I would have chronic back pain. And the thing is, I wasn't even training because I was actually working a job to support the gym, and my lower back was a disaster. Like I could barely run. I remember I would run a mile. It took me 14 minutes, and I was trying, but it was like so much pain. Like every step, like, I'm like, man, I haven't done anything to my back. Yeah. I bought a new bed, like $1,500. Oh, the orthopedic bed, whatever, did nothing. Yeah. And I remember it was my father. He gave me this book. He goes, David, read this. Mm-hmm. And it was Healing Back Pain by Dr. John Sarno. It's like a 100-page book. And it just outlined that. Like, man, I wish I remember the term. I have terrible memory, Robert. That's the one thing.
No, I mean, you tell stories all the time. You don't say that, man. You got good memory.
But I'm an honest man. That's why I tell my girlfriend. Like, I'm a terrible liar because I can't remember stories. I just tell you what's in my heart. Yeah. So I read this book, and it just outlined the fact that a lot of people are experiencing back pain. It's not because they're having back pain. It's just stress. Yeah. And the next day, Rob, the back pain went away. Yeah. And it's just after I went to a chiropractor, I went to all these different things, and I read this one book done, and I've referred that book to a lot of my students, and they would come back to me, David, you changed my life. I'm like, it wasn't me, it was a book. You know?
I have a, I get like rashes sometimes on like my side here, and I wonder if it's stress related or anything like that, but maybe it is. Like my body just manifests in a certain way. I've had back pain for so long. I've been stressed out for that. But like my neck and back, well, my lower back, I have a herniated disc, so I think that's not something that's going to go away regardless of how stressed I am. But no, I actually believe that. I think that your body will look for outlets. If it can't, it's gotta. It maybe it deals with stress or like stress physical pain.
Yeah, stress has physical consequences and mental consequences. Everyone in your life, So like, your body pains are just one of them. But have you ever been in a tough like emotional battle with a significant other? You get headaches, people get stressed, you're sweating.
I haven't known what that's like in a while.
Never happened before.
It's been a minute. I forgot what it's like. I hear about it these days, and I'm like, really? Oh yeah, there's that distant memory. Yeah.
So it does have consequences, and for some people, diet is the way they solve that problem, and it's a very unhealthy association. And you make certain, like I remember for me, I used to drink milk all the time. Yeah, and my association, I would never drink milk by itself. I'd always drink milk with some type of cookie, brownie, and I had this association for decades, Rob. Like anytime I was going to eat a cookie or a brownie or some type of sweet, I have to have milk. Like what I'm going to do, eat it by itself? And I made these little things, and I had like a lot of these, and then like I started cleaning them out. Now like I haven't drank a glass of milk like probably not like over a year.
Yeah, me too. I don't drink it.
I used to drink it all the time.
I discovered late in life I'm lactose intolerant. Most people are, to different degrees. But yeah, like I've gotten rid of. I mean, I would ice cream and butter, cheese every now and but like milk is something completely out of my diet, and I actually do feel better.
Yeah, I mean, I just stopped it because I'm like, it's extra calories, a lot, and there's a good amount of sugar in milk that you don't realize.
I've heard like mixed reports on milk. Like I've heard horrible things about it and things.
I still
it's
love
not
it.
That. Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. Milk and Oreos is still like probably one of my favorite things to eat in the whole world. But I mean, it's probably. I mean, it is true. Probably everyone's probably heard this before. We're the only animal that continues to drink milk after it stops.
Well, not necessarily.
It's no longer.
There's
other animals that drink. I always heard that.
Yeah, and they even have tribes in I think in Mongolia that they have, was it goats or I forget what, but they.
But other than humans.
I mean, those are humans, but I think there's other animals that also
drink milk.
But very, very rare though. For the most part, it's not. But I don't know if it's that big of a deal. Like as far as like being unnatural,
yes,
whatnot.
No,
you can obviously handle it, but like. Just like anything, I think if you're doing it in excess, you're probably creating
like
problems.
Anything. So I think that the gist of the conversation here, guys, is I have to summarize. It goes balance. Don't go crazy. It's like anything. You want to find a balance. So when it comes to your diet, I think that people should be a little suspicious of the health industry. Careful. Not everything that's out there is true. But basically, more important than being super strict on a diet is creating healthy habits. I think that's the easiest way to deal with it. Is to create the habit of, like, for example, I got rid of soda. Like not drinking soda for me is a habit.
Yes.
Right. And then once you do that, like diets are not necessary. And it's kind of like easy because you just got rid of. This is how I tell you, I eat whatever I want. When people say that, I'm like, you mean you eat donuts all day? I'm like, no, I don't want to eat donuts all day. I'm happy with one. You know, like I don't want to eat pasta every day. Like I like my kale. I like other foods. It's just that when I say I eat whatever I want, it means that I do want to eat beets. I do want to eat carrots. Just that I've trained myself to eat a balance of everything. Like my pyramid is not a pyramid. It's more like it's something I've shaped to myself. Like this is what my diet's like, and I don't have to eat junk food all the time because I don't crave it.
Yes, like I think my brother's wife Rima, they have a women-only boot camp in Miami, and they've been doing it for years now. And they always say they don't teach you a diet; they're going to teach you a lifestyle.
Yes.
Right, because diets has a connotation of crashing. Yeah. Right? Like you do it and then you're off, and then. And when you're joining that boot camp, it's a lifestyle change. And we've had women there for like 10 years plus. And they're all in great shape, but they realize it's not like I get in shape and then I stop. No, like it's a lifetime journey now, right? Now we're fit people and we're going to stay that way. So like you're saying, adopting healthy habits is the way to go. And when you're able to do that, to me, it's an exercise of discipline, right? Like when you're able to say, I'm going to stop doing this, right? I'm going to stop drinking soda. You can't really destroy something entirely. You replace it with something else, right? Because there's always something in the void. So like if I was drinking soda all day, if I stop drinking soda and don't do anything else, I die. I need some fluid intake, right? So then it's replacing a bad habit with a good habit. So instead of drinking soda, now I drink water. Instead of watching TV for 2 hours a day, I'm going to go to the gym in those 2 hours. So that's to me the exercise of discipline, because we don't like changing. In general, it's hard to change, right? For a variety of reasons. One, you're accustomed to doing something, right? And I think a lot of it is just by survival as well, because even if you've been doing something wrong, you've been doing that something wrong probably your whole life. And it hasn't failed you, so to speak, because you're still around, right? So like if I sat around and watched TV for 2 hours a day, it's worked. I'm still here. I might be like out of shape or not completely happy with who I am, but I'm still around. What happens if I start going to the gym? Maybe I get hurt or whatnot. No, I'll stay here doing my TV routine, So I think a lot of that's part of the resistance of change, because you're going into an unknown territory that you might not be able to survive.
And you have to reshape all the habits that come with this new behavior, because when you have a life change, like you add jiu-jitsu to your schedule, for example, it's not one little thing that's added. Like it's everything. Now you got to, you get a meal ready before you leave. You have to wash your gi before you come to the gym. It's like a number of things change just by simply because you started. Maybe your wife's got to pick up the kids from school now because you're not going to be able to. So like all these moving parts, and it's difficult because sometimes I'll try to make changes in my life, and it's so hard, man. It's just so much easier to flow in the routine because everything is working for the most part. Frankenstein working, but working, And all of a sudden you want to revamp everything. Very difficult to do. But I think that at some point, if it's unhealthy in any way, shape, or form, like an intervention might be needed, or even for yourself, like just have a radical change of lifestyle. I always tell people that disappear from the gym, I always go, your first class is always the hardest one, that. Yeah. And it's not something, the class itself is walking through the door. Yeah. And then when you tell people like that, it's like, oh, walking through that door is not that hard. Well, that's the hardest thing for you to do. Yeah. Once you're in the door, everything's easier. It's like, and it's true. It's that stepping through the door. So I tell people, you've created a habit of training every day, don't you? So let's not break that habit, get into the bad habit, because redirecting that back into training is very difficult. So I don't want people necessarily stop training when they're injured. I tell them to change their training. Yeah. There are injuries, like you had knee surgery, obviously you can't train. There are situations you really got to be in bed, but for the most part, I advise people to work around their injuries to keep reinforcing that habit, even if it's just sitting on the sidelines watching your friends train, which I've done more times than I can count. I literally drive to the gym just to watch my friends train. Yeah. If I couldn't train, because to me that was reinforcing a habit that I enjoyed and was healthy.
Yeah, I think I talked about that. My fighter Jason Suarez, he had suffered a motorcycle accident, almost died. Long story short, he ended up being on a wheelchair for some time. As soon as they allowed him to leave the hospital, he wheelchaired himself to the gym and would sit there and watch. Yeah. And he even tried to hit the bag from the wheelchair, and then on crutch, trying to hit the bag. And he was doing everything possible to be present, even if he wasn't able to participate as much as he wanted to. Right?
I think it's for his own sanity, too. Yes. Because I know if you're used to working out twice a day, and all of a sudden you're in a wheelchair, That's got to be the worst feeling in the world, man. It's never happened to me, but I imagine.
Yeah, man, he's that type of guy. Like some fighters, they have off seasons.
Yeah.
Jason is always on season.
Yeah.
He's always in shape. Like, you can't find him
not in shape.
Yeah. Like, he can always fight a 5-round fight 24/7. You know what I mean? It's just a matter of getting the weight to cut weight. That's about it for him, But like, it's again, he's someone who's adopted the lifestyle. Yeah. Right. He's not like, oh, I'm gonna crash and burn. I fight and then I party hard and I fight. No, like, he doesn't drink. He doesn't do anything.
It's easier because if you have good habits, then it's just so much easier to stick to them versus, developing all these horrible habits and then try to, revolutionize your life. So once you have that happy pace, that healthy pace of life, it's a good thing to stick to it.
Absolutely. And it's easier because you're going to feel better, right? That's why I feel like if you've never really seriously tried to get on a healthy kick, right, and change up your diet, change up your routine to include some fitness in it, and it doesn't have to be jiu-jitsu. I mean, I would like it if it was, because I think the martial arts has more benefits both physically, spiritually, and mentally than any other sport, in my opinion. I'm biased.
No, I agree.
Right, but I mean, anything, like when I wasn't able to train because of my knee, I've been going to the gym and I lift weights 6 days a week, and I've gotten great results of that. And if you just wanted to be healthy, that's all I'd have to do. You know what I mean? If I didn't want to, focus on anything else, and that would be more than enough, and it would be a life-changing experience for a lot of people. So I think if you've never truly ventured out there, you should, because you're missing out on a part of the living experience. And we were designed to be physical. Yeah. Like this is a brave new world where we have people who can survive without having any strength whatsoever. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, you could be like a desk jockey, and I'm not judging you. I'm just saying, being hyperbolic, but you could not have to ever worry about survival ever. Yeah. And I think
it's unnatural.
It's not natural. It takes away from the human experience, and because we're animals, we're supposed to be able to fight and defend ourselves, or at least have some physical competency.
And I think there's happiness there too.
Oh yeah,
because you're living, you're fulfilling your nature. Your nature is to struggle. Yes. It is to run. It is to do physical things, and it is to struggle intellectually. And you need all these elements for a healthy life and for happiness in general. I feel that when you're missing some of these things, your life's off balance. Yes. And if it's off balance, I don't think you can truly find happiness. Like I actually believe that one reason why, we're part of a civilization that struggles more with depression, anxiety, and suicide more than any other in history probably. And life has never been better. And I think one of the reasons why is because life is so incredibly easy in so many ways. Yeah. It's what I call the tyranny of options. Like, we have so many options in front of us, so much available, and it's so handed to us. And this phone, it's incredible, man. You think about how incredible that phone is. Yeah. And that we lost meaning in a lot of ways. Like, that we don't struggle for it. Whereas before, it's like if you had a place to live, it was like, 500 years ago, you had a place to live. It was like, yes, I'm eating,
I think the sign of excess is when you have a fight about what to eat.
Yes, I don't know why. You're fighting a fight with your girlfriend about what to eat on the way. You live in the richest country in history, in a place like Las Vegas, with hundreds of 5-star restaurants, and you're having an argument about what to eat. You're right. Yeah. It's excess, and I think that in some ways that is doing more harm than good. And I'm not saying I want to go back to anything. I'm addicted to this lifestyle. Like, I like my phone. I like having all these options, but I think that it's almost like all the options have taken something away from us too, And
they made it easier to not address those things. And I think a lot of times when people are stressed mentally, what they really need is a physical outlet. Right? Yeah. Sometimes I know when I was in university, I talked about it a little bit with Mikey, how I would study hardcore sessions, but I also learned that I can't study for 12 hours straight. Yeah. You start petering out, and you're getting diminishing gains. For me, I found 4 hours was the max of being very effective. Yeah. And then I need to do something else. Yeah. I need to go to the gym, or I need to run.
It's the same for everything. Yeah. Reading, work, everything. You need a balance. Because if I read too much, my attention span is I got 2-3 hours and I get good. And after that, I'm okay, I need to go do something else. Yeah.
And it's good for you. So if all you do is use your mind, which is excellent, but that's all you do, you're kind of unbalanced on the stress meter. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You need to, okay, now let's do some physical stuff. Yeah. Let the mind rest, relax, and decompress, and then we could come back again. You know, and
the
like
mind
likewise,
gets tired.
Yeah, if all you do is physical, you learn you get tired really quickly. Yeah. But the mental, some people don't realize it. You know what I mean? Because it's a different sensation of mental fatigue. You got that cloudiness.
And you have to balance all these workouts. You know, like even like intellectually, you have to be working out. I feel like if you're not thinking, exercising your brain, stimulating in some way, I can't imagine you being in balance. Like you need these things. I think that we like challenges, we like puzzles, we like, you know, solve problems. Yeah. You know, I know I do. I think a lot of people miss out on that, and you know, just the overall topic of the podcast today is health. I think we'll finish with like that is an important aspect of health, is finding a equilibrium not only in terms of your diet, but also of your social, emotional, and physical life, like all of it. Like it's all put together, and I think that's where we find meaning and happiness in general, is like when we balance things out.
Absolutely, because they're all tied together, right? Like if your body is a wreck, chances are everything else is going to be kind of falling apart, because they're all important. Like if you imagine you're a house, everything is like a pillar. You know, your body, your mind, you know, your friends, you know, and if one of them's broken, everything else is a little bit overloaded.
And one day the bathroom collapses on in the living room because of the pillar's gone. You know, like,
exactly. And then usually, unfortunately, that's usually when people start to address their problems, right?
Yeah, when it collapses.
Right? Like, you can hear from any motivational speaker. I know you don't like them, but when they hit rock bottom, that's when they started making changes. That's true. Right? But there
could be some wisdom there. Because I'm not hating on all motivational speakers, just almost all of them.
But it's kind of like that pebble in your shoe. Yes. This is the one I like. Is like you feel like that, whatever. You walk a little bit, but at a certain point, it jabs you the wrong way. You're like, now I'll take it off. But like, man, you just walked like 2 miles. You could have taken it off in the beginning, and it would have not been a big deal. And now you're bleeding. You know.
But it's like the number one peeve every coach has is like when the student asks you, how do I get out of a rear naked choke or a reverse heel hook, and I'm like, how do we, you know, before, like, no one ever wants to do that. You know,
I hear you say all the time, when people do like, whatever, naked choke, how do you escape? Like, dude, you're already 10 steps too deep, you know?
Yeah, but like, but people, we are like that. We don't preemptively solve problems. We wait till the last second. It's like, you know, get sick, take antibiotics, you know, like it's, we get fat and then we want a magical pill to get skinny, you know, and it's, I think preventing these issues really is where discipline comes in, and you know does make life a lot easier. I will say this though, man, you learn a lot from making mistakes and struggling.
For sure.
You know, I think that someone who is obese and they struggle getting fit, they have learned lessons that someone who has always been fit.
Oh, for sure.
Like someone have like Amar, like he eats McDonald's every day and he's got abs. The person who is obese and struggles to lose that weight has learned lessons that Amar will never learn.
For sure. No, I know. I mean, myself, I was a fat kid growing up. I guess I was 130 pounds in 3rd grade. And I think when I was in 9th grade, I almost hit 200 pounds. I was like 195, and then I started wrestling and I got leaned out. But it definitely means more to you because you understand, like, you've been on both edges. Yeah. You know, like, for example, my brother, he was fit his whole life. Like, could eat Cheetos and never would gain any weight. And now he's 39. Now he's gotten heavier. Right? He's like 205, you know. So he's not fat, but he's a little overweight, you know. But it's different because he's like, man, I never thought I'd be overweight. You know what I mean? Like it just hit me now.
And it happens because like after I retired, like I started gaining weight like crazy. I got lucky because I put it on fairly evenly across my body. You know, like legs, neck, shoulders. So it doesn't. But like I put on like maybe 20, 30 pounds the last 3 years. And it happens with age, I guess, but you know, I haven't been really strict on how I eat, but you know,
like
balance.
I said, I started paying more attention to it after my knee, right? But like again, that was the same thing. The pebble was already like cutting holes in my feet, you know what I mean? And I just say, oh, whatever, I'll put it off. So like, if I could tell people like something like, if you have a problem, address it right then and there. Don't wait for it to spitball and become a huge thing. You know, and then it becomes a disaster.
Learn from observing, not, you know, if you can.
If you can learn from the step, like, I used to work at a nuclear power plant. And one of the most interesting, I was at Turkey Point. I had the job below Homer Simpson. Right?
Okay.
So Homer Simpson is a senior. It's the
So
funny
you're aspiring to be Homer Simpson?
to be Homer Simpson. Yeah. He was actually what's called a senior reactor operator, if I remember correctly, which is a very high stress job. He's in the command room when stuff goes down. He's the guy calling shots. So I was trained to be a field operator, which is essentially a guy who turns pipes and levers and whatever. And they make you study disaster analysis for obvious reasons, right? And I remember one of them that they talked about was on an airplane. The pilot, co-pilot were engaging the landing gear. They were getting ready to touch down. And when they went to flip the landing gear on, the light didn't go off. Like, uh-oh, we're having a problem. The landing gear is not engaging. And then they were trying to figure it out. And long story short, they got so distracted by trying to figure out why the landing gear was engaging, they forgot that the plane wasn't an autopilot anymore and it was descending. Yeah. And the plane ended up crashing, everybody died. Yeah. And you know what the problem was? The light bulb died.
Oh, wow.
The landing gear was engaged.
Yeah.
It just, light bulb didn't turn on, but they forgot about everything else, crashed the plane, right? So it was one simple problem.
Snowball effect.
And became a huge thing, you know? So if you can see these problems forming, like if you already recognize like, hey, I'm gaining a little weight, nip it in the bud right there. Don't wait till you're like you said, 15 years later, oh, I'm really overweight now.
I feel like you're talking to me now, Dave. I think you're trying to say something.
No. If I was saying something, I'll talk to my brother. Marcus, start losing weight. But I mean, I could have fixed so many problems in my life if I would fix them right as they started to form. But again, a lot of times people think, oh, this is just a blip. Yeah. This is not a trend. Yeah. Right? But if it's happening for more than a month, it's starting to become a negative trend. Right? Yeah. Then you gotta take care of that. You know? Yeah.
Good advice there. Anyway, so I think that's it.
Yeah, I think that's
for
good.
This episode. Hope you guys enjoy some advice. I'm not a nutritionist.
Neither am I, right? I'm giving advice based on stuff that's worked on me. Yeah, so anything I've said here, don't and what Robert said, do your own research, right? And if not, you can try what we're doing and what we're saying. If it works, it works. If it doesn't,
Yeah, and yes, I mean, the best is to understand, for yourself and be skeptical towards, placebo effect and what's out there. Just keep your eyes open and, just try to understand how your body works, goes a long way, and find that happy balance. Once you do that, diets are no longer necessary.
And you're right, and like you said, making mistakes is part of the learning process. Yeah. So like if you do try a certain, diet or whatnot and it stops working or it doesn't work, try something else. It doesn't mean like, oh, give up. Nothing's going to work. No, it's like you found one thing that didn't work. Yeah. Now let's find something else. Yeah. And you keep moving. I felt like that's worked best for me here. Like I've tried particular diets and I started tweaking them. I'm like, oh, this is not working. Now let me start doing this. And that's where I came up with my profile, But it's going to be different for everybody. Like probably what I'm doing might not work exactly great for you. I think it probably will, but you have to try it out for yourself to see.
All right, guys. Well, see you guys next time. And I hope you guys enjoy the show. Please subscribe to iTunes, Google Play. Where else is it now, Dave?
Pretty much everywhere now. It's on Spotify, Podbean, and then as an extension, any type of podcasting host should be have it. If we're not on yours, let me know, and I'll make sure it gets on there.
Breaking the guard. Yeah, share with your friends. Spread the word. If you enjoy the show, let your friends know. Okay? Thank you so much, guys.